Good morning, friends.
Live.
Welcome. Excuse us momentarily
As
while
we check
we
in.
get our
Sorry.
technology life together
Yes,
as
yes, yes,
usual.
yes. Okay, there we go. Turn this down.
So,
Okay.
I'm Lila, if you're new here, and that's my buddy John, if
Woo
you're new
woo.
here. And we're both different kinds of magical as hell.
Yes.
And this morning, we are talking about what are we talking about, John?
Slapping the shit and waking your ass up out of you. So
I
here's the
love
piece,
that.
y'all. Um, I'm gonna start off with this title of this movie. The last movie, I think the first movie was done with Steve McQueen. The other one was Denzel Washington. There was a movie made in the early 70s called The Manchurian Candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Or Manchurian Man, I think it was Manchurian Candidate. And it talked about programming. Okay. I'm gonna switch gears. For my Funketeers, Dr. Dre, Dr. Funkenstein, better known as George Clinton, talked about reprogram, deprogram, and some of his lyrics in the 70s. As I start to pay attention to the planet, and I was in Mexico when this occurred, this event. I really didn't know what it was about. I just like, this is weird. What the hell is this? And then as I sat with it and I finally saw, I heard somebody slap somebody's shirt, and I thought it was like a joke. I thought it was a real joke, but it wasn't a joke when I found out. And then I sat with it, and when I looked at it, I was like, whoa. And then my sister made a comment. Lila said somebody need their bars ran. Access conscious bars, some energy stuff. What's that?
All three of them.
All three of them. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what I'm really and here's the piece for me why I'm going this way. Because once Lila said that, I realized that in Access, they have a tool called Access Consciousness Bars, which allows the brain to defragment,
As if you
deprogram.
were a computer, for those of you who don't speak tech.
Computer. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about
That's
that.
okay.
Yeah. And I sit with that and I say, huh, have has something or someone stepped up their game around programming so that people can bite off on something so they can go and run with it. I have my own theory on things, but my question, I guess, to the people that might hear this is, are you paying attention to the programming that you've been given to be out of choice? And I know people say, ooh, what is he talking about? This dude's crazy. Yes, I am a little crazy. I will engage it. I will own that. But the question with it is that when you actually start doing things out of sort, out of your norm, my question of it is how much of that is you? Now, did Will go and do that? Yes. I'm not an idiot. But what created that for him to do that? What programming must you acknowledge for you to do something? And we all do it. So we want to put Will Smith like, oh, he shouldn't have done this. But think about how many times you done things out of choice. But it was really your choice still, but you did it because it was a program, because it after it occurred, you were like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking. More of like, did Will just kind of snap? And I feel like for the last 3 years, we're all like we've been going through the motions. We have been like chugging along our little track. And then this pandemic came along and was like, will you sit your ass down? And when
Yeah.
you sit down and you're not distracted by your usual distractions,
Hmm.
then you have to actually deal with your shit.
Hmm.
And fortunately or unfortunately for our friends Will and Jada, they're kind of dealing with their shit publicly, courtesy of the red table.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just feel like I deal with my shit in therapy and in certain containers.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot imagine being in the experience of having my stuff dealt with publicly. And then on top of that, we don't know what's going on in their actual like marriage and lives. Like, are they in therapy? All of these things. But as somebody who's had the experience of what it looks like to me was Will tried to talk himself out of it the whole time he was headed up there and like kind of fighting with himself
Mm-hmm.
and losing because you can only suppress for so long
Yeah.
before you.
Yeah.
And thank God none of my
unless
was on TV.
unless the programming gets really good. See, I think that at some point, yes, but if you keep on getting reprogrammed by anything, by any means, then you don't ever get to be in question about what's your next choice. And what I'm saying is that to me, when I saw that, I was like, yes, suppressed anger potentially. They talked about his stuff in the past and all. But what I'm saying is there any element that's asking people to fall asleep on some issue, which distracts you from being present with all things? So here's the piece. If I get preoccupied and the entire week the media goes on a frenzy with a slap, what else isn't being reported? I'm a
Oh,
person. I'm a person who does teach domestic violence, and I'm not saying I don't think you put hands on anybody. I think that what's his name had every right to say what he said. If you're in the arena and he's a comedian, see, here's the issue with it, and this is what people, for me, is kind of interesting. We've gotten to such a point of being so luetic that we don't even understand the changes that are happening to us because the programming is not allowing us to be present with ourselves. Anybody who watched this, if you guys later on this week, anybody who watches, do me a favor. Tell me the last time you spent 30 minutes with self in the last 7 days. 30 minutes. Not doing something that you've been working on a business of yours, not working with your kids, not been in a relationship. 30 fucking minutes of being present with you, the earth, and your being. And we can add one more, and creator. Okay? And the question I'm gonna ask is that if that's not occurring, people say, well, John, people can only do it the same way. But if you are so distracted that you don't have time for self, then programming is a lot fucking easier. And I was challenged with this. I have, yeah, I'm a blessed man. I have people like my sister Lila and my Tori. I have Bernie. I have Dane. I have my brother Derek. I have my son, my daughters. That always I'm an allowance of receiving from them. So I have an abundance of choices that I can make, and my distraction is not as great. I am still distracted. So I'm gonna share something with y'all that I've never said. I do meditation, and I've been doing it since 1995. Maybe no. I take that back. Since about 1993, I started doing this meditation. Okay, and my dear friend Bernie Baird has introduced me to a world of difference and choices in this meditation world. Good morning, Pam. And what I've come to realize is that I got to get back to me. And getting back to me is that not allowing myself to linger without being present with myself. So I'm gonna tell on myself. I went back and I looked at like the last 3 days, 4 days, I have not put in my journal with the gratitude journal. I get so fucking distracted, and then I find myself this thing, you know, I am actually beginning to not have it on in my car. At a certain time at night, I'm turning that bitch off because I find that it's taking me out of being present with me. It's cheating me out of my space. On MySpace, I'm playing words. My MySpace went away, so I'm bringing my space back. And I say that because when I look at what occurs and how people can go on a frenzy and listen to people talk or watch people on network talk about things, I'm asking, can this slap be slapping people back into or out of the reality of being out of choice and out of connection with self? Because, and the other thing that I've always wondered about these people on this planet, as if like I'm not from this planet,
Are you
is is why are we so judge fucking mental with individuals doing things when you've done the same shit someplace else and living? And it's so easy, instead of asking, like, who is not coming together? You know, you said something that's really true. I think, and I'm learning this. What if people could let go of the judgment and the poking of someone and go beyond that? And that's the thing that I've been wrestling with this whole time. Because you put something in the media, people go on a fucking frenzy, and they keep on debating this one issue. See, here's the piece that I want people to look at. I'm a love man. I'm a love muffin. Okay. I like love. I know that some programs say love is a distraction. I'm not talking about that love where, you're not being present with yourself, but a love. And I really do, in my way, really appreciate people's. But I'm not going for the okie doke. And this is the thing that I'm saying to people, that I'm like, I'm always aware of shit. And I'm not going to stop doing that. So I'll tell you this, why I say this. I'm getting to my point. People are like, well, get to the point. There is a war going on between Russia and the Ukraine. Everybody knows about that, right? Is anybody aware about the war that's going on in Eastern Africa with the Ethiopians?
I am, but that's because I hang out with y'all.
But the question with it is that any death on the planet is a separation from oneness. But once again, and some people like, John, this time it depends on what you look like to what the media would run with what's destruction.
Yeah.
Those are but that's the programming stuff to keep people away from things, so you don't start asking questions, so you don't look any further, or what's really going on with this war. I don't know. I'm not saying somebody's doing this. What I'm saying is, where you're not being present, and the distractions that I found out, that like when you say, if Will got up and do, how distracted is he by not having time for self? You get so fucking busy doing whatever you do, and I'm talking about me, that you forget the small time. This room here, you guys, I can't let y'all see the papers on my book because I'm finally straightening this room up. This was my sanctuary that I come and do my meditation. It was so fucking junky that I couldn't come here and sit. And I was like, yesterday I started cleaning up, and every day when I come home, I'm working on some tax stuff and all. I'm taking the space back. I'm turning this fucking phone off. I'm slapping the shit out of myself for being so distracted by this reality. And I say that now, and I use it lightly. It's just like, what I'm gonna ask you, how do you turn shit in on you and start looking at you? And how can you be grateful? For me, I'm very grateful for this happening, because it brought up another awareness that say, John, do you want to look at this? Things been that invitation. I don't know. Let me shut the fuck up.
It's been real interesting watching people's opinions and points of view about something that they have, like, they're not at all involved in. Like, you're not at all involved in this.
Right.
But you have so many opinions and points of view, which is why I posted what I posted. All three of them needs to make their way to somebody's bars tables. Bonus points if it's mine. That's my only point of view about it. We all need healing.
Yes.
Nobody's any more right or wrong than anybody else. Was Chris wrong to make that joke? No. Was Jada wrong to have her feelings hurt about the joke? No. Was Will wrong for slapping the taste out of Chris? No. They were all crying out for some healing.
Yeah.
That's my interesting point of view.
Yeah. And
I say that because you can say anything to me. literally anything. And if I don't agree with it, it won't affect me, positive or negative. If you walk up to me as a single mom of 3 who has been doing this shit solo for 18 years and call me lazy, I'd be like, cool. It's an interesting point of view you have.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that's a dope move when you get there. Like, here's the piece for me when I look at things, and I'm working on that. Like, interesting point of view. Like, if somebody, like when you said, if somebody comes and says something to you, why do we take it to heart that it means what it says, unless you're not willing to deal with something that's actually bothering you?
Yeah, because you agree with whatever they're saying.
Yeah.
I have been called lazy and I have been like devastated by it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have been called lazy and I chuckled afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. And where do you allow that? And if somebody says something, that's the other piece about it. And what I mean, like, and I really do mean, like, what would it be like to wake up in the morning and do that to you, to snap you out of this? And I'm gonna use this vague, this space of not being willing to ask another question, that you have to go and create more chaos in your world. And I'm saying this out loud to myself because I sometimes take to heart, like, if people don't sign up for classes that I'm teaching or this thing, I'll go easy into judgmental, like, well, I didn't work hard enough to get it out. I'm like, I'm going because I did something somewhere. I think it was when I was doing one of my last SOP sessions in Mexico. And I was in the midst of doing the session, and I had a longing for my meditation stuff, because there's something in my meditation that increases my capacity with SOP sessions with Simply Possibility, which I'm doing a video. I'm working on actually a little, like a 2-minute video on what SOP means to me, John Ashford. And the reason I'm doing that, because I had this awareness that it's not just one aspect or dynamic of me doing that. And I'm tapping out and in at the same time. And it's quite orgasmic. And so my question with it is that when I was doing this for myself, is that what is something ask, what is my body, I think? Because I remember I kept on coming to you about body pains and stuff. It was like, my body is actually, when it's having pain, it's actually asking me, hey, stupid, would you pay attention to look at this? And soon as, because I say this because I was on the airplane. I have to tell y'all this story. So I was on the airplane last week, and I usually get on the airplane. I've been flying since I was like 9. My parents put me on planes a long time ago. And now lately when I got on the plane, I would get like a upset, gassy stomach. And I was like, what the fuck? I didn't even eat anything. Like, some flights I leave, because I live in Portland, you have to leave at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, well, it can't be that. And what I realized is I start to go there and I could feel like this little knot in my stomach. And when I was just like, let it go, John. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And what started to happen is that while I was on the airplane, by the time we got over the mountains here in Eastern Oregon, it was gone. And so I'm making connecting points for people. So my meditation allowed me to go through things like this. I stopped doing that, paying attention, because I got distracted by shit. And in that distraction, I've lost some of my capacity. And what I'm saying is, what would it be like to slap the shit out of yourself so that you can come back out of wherever you were, so that you can be present with your body and everything around, so you could just start asking questions, so that you don't get to the point of my brother Will. What was Will's contribution for me of waking the fuck up? How many people are sleeping?
Crystal Crawford talked about, like, what was really violence.
Mm-hmm.
Is it violence to follow the impulse of your arm or is it violence to suppress that impulse? Yeah.
And how much, and that's the other thing, Lila, how much suppression is going on right now on the planet? Like crazy.
I really think that plays a part in what's happening right now because we're seeing all of our systems fall apart and our systems aren't built for us. They create suppression.
Yeah.
They perpetuate
Yeah.
suppression. So we
Yeah.
have our children sitting in classrooms for 8+ hours a day when their bodies are made to move.
Mm-hmm.
And studies show that they learn better through play. But we stick them at desks. We expect them to sit down, be still, and pay attention. And when they don't, we give them a label and some pharmaceuticals.
Ooh, there go. Be quiet. Be careful. Farmies gonna hear us. They're gonna be like, "Oh, y'all can't do this no more."
Hey, friends, come get your bars run.
Yeah. And I say that, and I'm because I'm gonna turn a pumpkin in 6 minutes. So here's the piece that I want to say before I get up. One of the things that somewhere when I remember, I was this little kid, and I used to love watching Mr. Rogers. It was one of my favorite things when I was little. Now, call me whatever you want to call me. Fuck you too. But there was something about the gentleness in the play and the imagination that Mr. Rogers brought out in me that I recognized as an adult man what I really appreciated and how that's stripped from people in the institution called education, which strips people from the capacity of being and knowing. All those indicators that Mr. Rogers, and the interesting piece when they did the movie on him, how he would take time because he didn't worry about time. The rest of people would be like ass hurt because he was taking time to spend with some child or being present with some guest. And that was a lesson, and it came through in this presentation. But what this society do is try to make that like a wrongness, a softness of a male. And what I'm saying is that for me, when I right now, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, call it what you want to call it, whatever label. But the question I'm asking is a bird out my window just flying around. It's kind of weird. Okay, bye bird. Okay. But my purpose of saying this is what happens when you're present and you're willing to be different. You know, what other spaces are you creating for people to be in choice to come more present with their bodies? And that's what I guess my big ask would be if people hear this. What are you willing to do and be that will create a greater space for people to be in choice instead of following all the cows down the road?
I'm going to be a little bit more granular about it. What are you willing to do and be so that you can be in greater choice?
Yeah.
Because as a retired people pleaser, it creates more for me to think about me than it does to think about other people.
Yeah, true. But at the same time, I think in the process, the after effect of that is the contributions that other people can be affected if their vibration starts to rise or widen or whatever you want to call it.
100%. But if I start out thinking about other people.
Right. No.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you 1,000,000,000% with that.
Yeah.
Thanks for the reminder. It's like, I think that, and that's the piece of me just going back and looking at programming about the seminarian in me, the Catholic in me, of like worrying about others. And that's another program. Take care of you first and treat other people the way they want to be treated, not the way you want to be treated, and see what that creates. But it comes back to you being okay with you first. And I think you're right. I think we lose that. And that's what happened to me. I mean, for me, looking at this whole incident, it allowed me to come in my office, start doing something different in my office, creating a space where I could be present with me. And because I have a position that I affect children every day. Good morning, Sharon. How you doing, sister?
Hey, Sharon.
Sharon, my fault.
It's all good.
Yeah. Sorry about the name. I don't like butchering people's name. But anyway, I think that I think that we have some. How can this be a contribution? And is it now time to let go of some of this bullshit, of this
The
judgment piece?
answer is yes.
You know,
Before we both turned into pumpkins, is foundation online and in person?
yes, I'm doing foundation the 28th, 20th, 4 days, 28, 29, 30, 30, the first in Florida, right outside of Fort Lauderdale. I think it's called I think it's just north. You can go to my website, www.beingjohnashford.com. You see it. I'm also going to do bars class before that. And I'm going to do one body process for people in the evening before that. So, and I'm going to be doing magical SOP sessions.
Which you absolutely want. You want an SOP session for on.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you come into the class, if you're down in the area or you're online, I'm giving discounts for it. So go look at how much it costs. And I always take something off during the class for that. So you'd be surprised.
Awesome sauce.
What about you?
I have no idea. My brain right now is on VA work overload. And one of my clients ramp up the hours that she needs for me, and another client who has a class coming up. And so that's where my entire focus is. But come back next week. There'll be things.
Yes. We'll be back here next bat time, same bat channel, mornings with. Let me ask people, are there anything, conversations or discussions you would like us to have while we're doing this? And is there anybody out here who says, hey, I would like to come join you guys? We're open to that too. Let us know. Hit us up.
Yep. Have a great day, friends.
Have a wonderful, magical day. Love you guys. Mwah.